He wants to know, how do we treat each other? How do we help each other? I'm going to dedicate my life to using my name and popularity, helping charities, helping people, uniting people. So when I die, if there's a heaven, I want to see it.
Hey guys, it's Coffee with Keith, and I'm here with my special guest today, Monroe Elise. Thank you for being here today. So just in case you didn't know, Monroe is a trans activist, LGBT advocate, actor, and the CEO of Can We Live? But you were also on the show P-Valley.
Yeah.
Okay, talk to us about that.
It was absolutely amazing. First of all, thank you for having me.
Of course.
I'm a huge fan of P-Valley first.
Okay.
I love Katori Hall. She's the creator and director, and absolutely amazing, phenomenal Black woman. I was a huge fan of the show first, and after watching the first episode, I was like, listen, I gotta be in the second season. I started preparing myself to be in the second season, and so I like to believe that I manifested that, and so shout out to all of my family, as we like to call them,
Nice.
From P-Valley, and so yeah, it was an absolutely amazing opportunity.
Well, awesome, man. And listen, we are so excited to sit down with you today to talk a little bit about coffee. A little change from the norm, but also kind of within the same line of who you are. So a lot of people probably see you on TV, they probably hear you singing, but the one thing they probably did not recognize is you're a huge coffee fan.
Absolutely.
So talk to us a little bit about where did this all come from? Where did your coffee journey begin?
So I always was a tea drinker. Growing up as a child, I always was a tea drinker, and I used to sneak coffee. And they talk about it stunning your growth, as I stand here 6'3", so that didn't happen for me. But I used to sneak coffee, and I always remember my grandmother, no matter what time of day it was, no matter when I stopped past, she always had a cup of coffee on. She always had a fresh pot of coffee. You could always get two things from her house. You can get some wisdom, a cup of coffee. Yeah, so that was just the thing. And so even growing up with that, I kind of found my love for coffee about 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay.
As I was always on the run, and I was always on the go, and I just needed what people always like coffee, give them a little pick me up.
Yeah.
And so that literally just ignited the flame. And so I fell in love with the different roast and the different brews, and I always just wanted to know more about this thing that I was drinking 16 times a day.
Yeah, well, very nice. And so where'd you grow up?
Washington, D.C., born and raised.
Washington, D.C.
And the playground is where I spent most of my day.
And the playground. I like it. So coffee for you became kind of a natural because you grew up in it, your grandmother had it, and you kind of fell in love with it. So now currently, as you wanted to know more about coffee, you kind of got into this thing. I noticed that you've created your own mug.
Yes.
Tell the people about that and where they can get it from.
Yes, so I'm really excited. So for those that don't know, I have a live that I do on all social media platforms daily. At that time, it was called Monroe's Moments Check-In Time.
Yeah.
And where I would just sit down and I would disseminate self-help information through a comedic relief based off of my own personal experience. Because I only be talking about me, And I was buying different mugs, trying to keep up with the seasons and, trying to be creative and stuff. And then I was living by these different mottos that I would create to kind of help me get through the week.
Yeah.
And I said, why not put it on a cup along with my face to remember? Because, I can beat me up better than anybody I know, right?
Yeah.
I can misuse, abuse, neglect, and disrespect me better than anybody, right? And so I have to change the narrative and start talking positive to myself. And so I put one of the best pictures that I felt good in that moment on the mug, along with one of my quotes. Change is inevitable, growth is optional, and the growth is in my honesty. I have to be honest with me so that I can really grow if I choose, because it's a choice. And so I drink out of that mug every morning. And so, get my coffee brew.
I love it. Before we move forward, I want to ask you the question about what was it, because you said something there that said, you had to change the narrative to yourself.
Absolutely.
Right? What was the aha moment, if you will, that made you say, look, I can't continue this negative, basically disenfranchisement of myself. How do I rebuild myself, so to speak, or speak positively to myself? What was it that made you realize that. And when was that?
So this was about 4 years ago as well. I'm about four and a half years ago.
Yeah.
I had decided that enough was enough.
Okay.
You know, I wanted to do something different to get something different. And what I know that a lot of people do, like myself, and I only know this because people reach out and tell me that they too, once I start talking about me, people identify in it. I know that I wanted something different, but I didn't know how to get it. And so I knew that there was something wrong. There was something that needed fixing. And so I sought after it. I didn't need to know how to fix me. I just needed to know that there was something on the inside of me that needed to be fixed. And so I sought after it, right?
Yeah.
And I got the help that I needed through mentorship, through healing, through therapy, and all of those things, right? And I remember my mentor saying to me one day, she said, if you love you as much as you say you do, then why do you do the things that you do to you?
Wow. Wow. Yeah.
And she reminded me that I'm not responsible for all the stuff that happened to me, but I'm responsible for my healing.
Yeah.
And so that freed me up of all of the excuses of why I stayed intentionally in all of those situations and spaces. And that if I wanted to change, I had to start changing me.
Wow.
And so that reminds me that if I want change, because it's a choice, I have to choose to be better. I can either choose to exist in the pain or I can start looking for the peace that I want. I can choose to stay in the hurt or I can start trying to find the healing. And so I just sought after that healing, realizing that I don't know everything. And I have to go to people that know what they know to help heal me.
Man, that's good. That's really good. For those of you who probably are on the brink of like throwing a shoe at the video screen right now, I feel you, because it is truly, it speaks to your heart. Because, one of the things about relationships is, I heard this quote today, that oftentimes people will stay within situationships but call them friendships because there's something that they're trying to gain from that individual.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? And so oftentimes until that person can no longer supply your need or meet your need, it is when you realize that this wasn't authentic to begin with. And so to hear you say that is really powerful and certainly so apropos. So thank you again for that, because that just blessed me, and I'm sure it and so talk a little bit about, so your these are daily affirmations that you have?
Yes. So on my Instagram page, Monroe Alise P, MonroeAlise P, I have a different hashtag for every day of the week. And this is just something that I created for myself to kind of get me through the week. So I have Miraculous Monday, because some people ain't make it to Monday. And this is in the COVID era when COVID was really, really strong. And so people that were here Monday wasn't here next Monday. So I had to find the gratitude on the simple things, because I can overcomplicate things. And so I had to find the miracle, and Monday was just that I made it to Monday. And then when Tuesday came, I named that Transformation Tuesday, because I'm not the same girl that I used to be. And I know that it may be raining right now, but it looks nothing like the tsunami that I used to be in. So I had to continue to keep finding that gratitude. And then whatever Wednesday, I was counting calories. I was watching out for gluten. I was doing all those things, trying to kill myself, trying to get rid of that extra 25 pounds that COVID put on and on. So whatever Wednesday was, just do whatever make me feel good today. Because you made it to Wednesday. Do whatever that is. So Helen, if you want to hula hoop, hula hoop.
There you go.
Brittany, if you want to blow bubbles, blow bubbles. And so if I wanted to eat me some carbs, I was going to eat me some carbs, because I made it to Wednesday, whatever. And then Thursday is Think About It Thursday. I had to start asking myself those hard questions. Like, are you really the victim or are you really the villain? Did you stay intentionally in those situations and spaces and friendships and relationships because they served you? You stayed with the beast you knew versus the fear of the unknown. Like, let's call it out. And I had to start asking myself those hard questions on Thursday. And then Fantastic Friday. Woo, I made it to Friday. I didn't think on Monday I was going to make it to Friday. Listen, I was at the job and I wanted to slap her, but it's Friday. I made it, And so I had to continue to just keep pushing that forward. And I knew that if those things were helping me, then just maybe it might help one person.
Man, that's so dope. That is really, really cool. So all of these words of wisdom came from Grandma's house around coffee.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow. So Grandma literally is the inspiration for who you are today.
Absolutely.
All of these words of wisdom and your now journey into coffee. So talk to us a little bit about what was it like growing up with grandma or growing up around grandma. And what is grandma's name?
Grandma Claire.
Okay, Grandma
yes,
Claire.
Continue
All right.
to rest in paradise.
Yeah.
She
God bless her.
listen, she was a humdinger now. Now listen, she may have put a little liquor in her coffee, but it was coffee
There
in the
you
pot,
go.
you know?
Yeah.
But she was always the person that poured into me.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was always the person that poured into me, you know, and even though she had so many grandchildren and the list and the lineage continues to grow, you know, she was my grandmother.
There you
know,
go.
She was my grandmother, and she ain't play about her baby. If I told her my mama was getting on my nerves and she hurt me or my daddy beat me, she was going to have some choice words for them, you know, and so, you know, it was just always that safety that I found at her house.
Yeah.
It was that safety that I found being around her. It was where I really tapped into the authenticity of who I am.
Wow. Wow. And so now that you have ventured into this same space of coffee, you carry this wisdom. It's almost like you are a walking mouthpiece for your grandmother, right? No. And so now that people can kind of vicariously live through you and know your grandmother, in this coffee season or in this coffee space, you get to now share that wisdom, but then how do you see that playing out in coffee now that you not only are a consumer of coffee, but kind of dabbling into this in this space or in this arena that you were once a consumer, but now just feel like, man, this is something I may want to pursue.
Yeah. You know, I'm really excited to learn these days.
Yeah.
You know, I found out, you know, one of my mentors said this to me and it blew my mind. They said that I ain't know nothing until I found out I ain't know nothing. And at that time, I was like, what the heck are they talking about?
Right.
But it was so paradoxical.
Yeah.
You know, it was so paradoxical because today I seek knowledge.
Yeah.
I seek knowledge and I tell some of my mentees and I tell the people all the time, you know, listen, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Yeah.
And that was another one that I didn't get until it was time for me to get. And so now I chase knowledge and taking that and going into this coffee industry, you know, I really want to learn more about the business. I really want to learn more about the way that coffee is grown, the way that coffee is ground, the way that coffee is roasted, the way that coffee is brewed. Like all of those things, it definitely piques my interest.
Nice.
So, you know, I'm taking it one day at a time.
Yeah.
But I'm moving head on.
Awesome. Well, we're excited to have this conversation with you, but we're more excited that we understand that you will kind of be a special visitor at our coffee symposium coming up in March.
Yes.
So we kind of let the cat out of the bag right here.
Yes, we did.
Tell the people about your visit to Houston, and more importantly, like why should they come out to symposium?
Listen, if you drink coffee like I drink coffee, you ain't got to know that much about coffee. That's what they got it for, so that we can learn together. Listen, this is going to be a teachable moment for all of us. I'm sure the people that know something gonna learn something when they get there, because that's what it's about. And I'm so grateful to just exist in that space because I love coffee. So if you love coffee, just come on down with me and we're gonna learn together.
Please, Monroe, tell the people where they can find these lovely mugs and more importantly, your daily words of wisdom.
Absolutely. So you can go to my Instagram at Monroe Alise P. That's MONROEALISEP. That's on Instagram and Twitter. And you can go to Facebook, Monroe Alise. And first time ever, I just started my website. So you can go to monroealise.com.
Awesome. You heard it here.